And thank you. Yep. I'm going to give a very brief wrap-up of what we've heard today, if the slides are put on. Oh, good. Are they on here? Give me a hint. Okay. All right. I'm not going to read this. I have a slide for each session, but I'm not going to read them because you can read it for yourself. And we had a really rich discussion. I'd have to talk for 15 minutes per slide. But we heard in the first session about such topics as natural history data and its uses, about dose selection, about the importance of transparency and careful assessment, even if it's just a trial of one patient, because we need to learn something. Research protection is not just protection of the patient, but of the data that we're going to, use to carry things forward. And we learned about several examples, experience of researchers in translating research ideas into practice and some of the challenges that they faced. The second session, we heard about patient selection and enrollment and consent, both from the researcher point of view and from the patient point of view. And we learned about the importance in particular of looking at enrollment in a trial or looking at data collection or patient selection in the context of other available care, and as well about some of the other factors that get taken into account when the clinicians offer a trial to a patient or patient considers it, including such things as what are the costs that are going to be borne by their families as well as themselves. And we also learned about how certain eligibility criteria may make enrolling in a trial very challenging, such as the example of someone traveling quite some distance to be able to enroll her child in a trial and have him followed up during the course of the trial. In session 3, there was a vigorous discussion of endpoints for gene therapy clinical trials. A couple of examples were provided, both of a novel endpoint that was developed, as well as conditions in which the investigators are working on both the trial and on the endpoints at the same time. There were a number of other things brought up during that session, including the value of a registry, specifically in sickle cell disease, but with other diseases too, to help with development of clinical endpoints, and also the importance of educational materials for patients, because there's such a variety of gene therapies that might be possibly offered in a given trial. And then we've already had the discussion about the Drug Development Tools Program, which may or may not be helpful. There was a discussion about long-term patient management and follow-up, which I thought was a really great session. I think there's general agreement that long-term follow-up is needed in some cases to identify and mitigate delayed risk. There was a lot of discussion about the risk-based approach that is taken by FDA and whether it could be further refined. There were some really great examples from other fields about the challenges in follow-up and also about the transition between, being a patient treated in a clinical trial and a survivor of the disease and the treatment too. These examples informed concepts like the value of the strong infrastructure needed for long-term surveillance of cancer, and also, although it isn't, I don't think it's written here, it is, mobile health applications. So I think this is an important point that, for some of the issues related to geography, mobile health tools may be useful for long-term follow-up. Next steps for the forum. Great summary. We'll meet tomorrow and identify action items and opportunities to help the field move forward. So with that, I'd like to thank everyone for participating, and this is the we close. And let me just say, the day wouldn't be complete without me thanking the staff from the Academy because this workshop would not have been the success it is without them. So.